Hello guys, welcome to Math Accelerator. I'm April Snow. Try to prove if b times square root of 1 minus a squared plus a times square root of 1 minus b squared equals 1, there will be a squared plus b squared equals 1. If you want to have a try, please pause the video. If you're ready now, let's get started. Okay, let's see how to prove this problem. Notice that there are square root of 1 minus a squared and square root of 1 minus b squared in the expression. So there must be 1 minus a squared is greater than or equal to 0, and 1 minus b squared is greater than or equal to 0. That means the absolute value of a is less than or equal to 1, and the absolute value of b is less than or equal to 1 too. And what we want to prove is a squared plus b squared equals 1. Recall that sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, and the absolute values of sine and cosine are of course less than or equal to 1. So you see, it's possible for us to use trigonometric substitution. Let's have a try to solve this problem. Let a equal cosine alpha, b equal cosine beta, where alpha is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. Beta is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. You may ask why the angles alpha and beta are greater than or equal to 0 and are less than or equal to pi. That's because when the angle is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi, the cosine is greater than or equal to -1 and is less than or equal to +1 exactly. Which means the absolute value of cosine is less than or equal to 1, and that's what we want in the proof. Okay, now we have a equals cosine alpha and b equals cosine beta. We can start the substitution right now. Substitute cosine alpha for a and cosine beta for b. We will have cosine beta times square root of 1 minus cosine squared of alpha plus cosine alpha times square root of 1 minus cosine squared of beta. We know sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. So 1 minus cosine squared equals sine squared. So square root of 1 minus cosine squared equals square root of sine squared, which equals the absolute value of sine. So we will have the expression that cosine beta times absolute value of sine alpha plus cosine alpha times absolute value of sine beta equals 1. Remember just now we have discussed that alpha is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. Beta is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. So sine alpha is greater than or equal to 0. Sine beta is greater than or equal to 0, which means the absolute value of sine alpha equals sine alpha itself, and the absolute value of sine beta equals sine beta itself. So the trigonometric expression simplifies to be cosine beta times sine alpha plus cosine alpha times sine beta equals 1. Wow, have you recognized that? Cosine beta times sine alpha plus cosine alpha times sine beta equals sine of alpha plus beta. That's a basic trigonometric formula. So we will have sine of alpha plus beta equals 1. And again, remember just now we have discussed that alpha is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. Beta is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to pi. So alpha plus beta is greater than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to 2 times pi. Sine of alpha plus beta equals 1, so we will have alpha plus beta equals pi over 2. Remember that we will use in the following step. Now we are close to the final answer. What we want to prove is a squared plus b squared equals 1, where a squared plus b squared equals cosine squared of alpha plus cosine squared of beta, cos alpha plus beta equals pi over 2, beta equals pi over 2 minus alpha. So a squared plus b squared equals cosine squared of alpha plus cosine squared of pi over 2 minus alpha. Recall that cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha equals sine of alpha. So cosine squared of pi over 2 minus alpha equals sine squared of alpha. Finally, cosine squared of alpha plus sine squared of alpha equals 1, which means a squared plus b squared equals 1. And that's the right answer. Thank you for watching this video. I will solve other math problems in my next videos. If you are interested in solving math problems, please subscribe this channel and follow my videos. See you next time. Bye bye.